As you can see, kind of pulled up. Gonna load logs, and we're just gonna run them. All right. And then once I get the sawmill nice and full, um, I'll go ahead and start running the track up to the iron mine. Damn it, completely overshot. Fatigue. Oh, so I have to turn the music off because even though it's in-game music, I am getting hit with copyright stuff on my channel, which doesn't make a lick of sense, but you know, whatever. You know, people gotta eat. You know, bros gotta eat too. But so now you have to hear me sing. almost, almost missed it. I went wee. Oh. Yes. Well, down a little bit. Right there. Like, try to put it directly in the middle of that fan. Do 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 do. I mean, that is kind of the good thing, though, about starting over. Because, like, once you've kind of figured out, you know, um, exactly how everything works, you know, what's going to be your best uh, grade to have, things like that. It makes it that much easier. So, because now, now I kind of understand um, what's going to be the best grade. And then hopefully instead of having to rework the tracks time and time again, do it once, a one and done scenario. Because that's been kind of the biggest because that was kind of the biggest issue, you know. But with any luck, I'm not going to have to rework it time and time again, we can just get it done in one go and just full sync, Now, I'm kind of tempted to see something, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. Give me a second. All right, I'm going to stop the stream for a second, guys. I got a little bit of technical things going on. I had some goofiness going with my system, and I had to close everything out to, get it to reset itself. So, do apologize, but we're back. Now, I kind of think I screwed the pooch here. Yes I did. I didn't put away that. coming off of here. Right. Now this part is going to be easy enough. Alright. So, like I said, this part's going to be easy to fix, so just got to throw in a switch. Well, two switches. And then go from there. Alright, let's see. No, I don't want to copy tracks. Alright, so. Alright, let's get rid of this. Not there. So that's going to be about a 45, and that's okay. And then... Oof, okay. Shit. Okay. I see what I'm going to do. Alright. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work. Hold on, let's see. Let's give it another look-see, shall we? Actually, the switch should be here. Alright. Yeah, the switch should be here. There we go. Yeah, because that still gives me full access to the drop-off. Okay. I mean, unfortunately, won't be able to test it thoroughly until, well, I come back with another load of logs. Okay, how's this looking? So another load of logs will fill this up. And then we just start running logs here. Alright, so let's give this a... Alright. Alright, let's go get another load. Because, I mean, early game in this, you can't, like, there's not a whole lot you can do, per se. And that's, you know, that's honestly by design. Because early game, the majority of what you're doing is you're setting up your industries to get to it via train, obviously. It's called Railroads Online. But there is a tutorial. Now, granted you, I had to do the tutorial. I don't really do tutorials. I prefer to, you know, beat person to the fire. But, you know, that's why I have everything the way I do right now. Because right now, we're just worried about, getting the sawmill supplied. You know? And then once the sawmill is supplied, then you start worrying about the iron mine. You know, getting the iron mine good. And then once the iron mine is good, then you worry about the smelter. Thank you so much, baby. My wife is my coffee assistant, and she loves me, and she gets me coffee. Anyway, like I was saying, before I had my, my squirrel moment. Anyway, so, and then once you get your smelter good, you know, good to go and supplied, then you worry about the coal mine. Because the coal mine takes rails, which can only be picked up at the smelter, and beams, which can only, which can only be, is it beams? Yeah, it's beams, which can only be supplied by the sawmill. So, oh, and that's another thing too with the smelter. The smelter can only make raw iron and rails if you're supplying it with iron ore. So, everything is kind of a step, you know, and there is no sandbox on this. I mean, not sandbox, I can't think of the name. I want to call it creative, where you could just, like, plug in and get trains. Now, there are pre-laid maps, and some of those pre-laid maps, you'll have access to a much better locomotive off top, because, well, it's just in the map. You gotta find it. But I don't like pre-lays, so therefore I'd rather just build the tracks myself. I'd rather just build the tracks myself, you know, because it's a lot more satisfying to that end. So, I mean, this game is just absolutely entertaining. You know, it's so relaxing, and you're, I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things, man, where if you want to play a nice, relaxing game, boom, here's your jam. If you love trains, here's your jam. Now, I mean, there's other train games out there, but I play on console. Yes, I have a PC, um, but I prefer console. You know, um, the, like I said, there is other railroad games out there. Like you got Railroad. I have it. Um, I just don't really know how to play with mouse and keyboard. So if I can't use my controller, I just don't bother with it. Like I have 7 Days to Die on PC, but I have 7 Days to Die on console. So it's just kind of one of those things. And then there's another train game coming out soon that I'm really looking forward to, which is Century of Steam. And I'm going to shout those guys out. Studio 357, I think is the name of it. I'll have to double check. But, just Google search, not Google search, but like go to YouTube, Kick, whatever, and just type in Century of Steam. And you're going to look at that and go, oh wow, I'm super excited for this. And I understand War Thunder gives me a lot of views, and 7 Days to Die gets me a few views, but if I'm being honest, man, those games are just stressful. And sometimes I don't mind, and I'll get on a kick where I just play the living hell out of it, where that's all I'll play. And then there's other times I'll get kicked where all I want to play is trains, because trains make me happy. So that's what we're doing. I'm probably going to do content like this for this foreseeable future until I guess I get viewers that are like, hey, this is cool and all, but we subscribe to you because of your War Thunder content or your 7 Days to Die content. And that's what we want to see. And at that point, it's like, you're the boss. So if you want me to play War Thunder or 7 Days to Die, that's what I'll do. I'll just play Railroads on my time. Like a glove? Now, see, it'd be really cool, and probably what I'll do is I'll just throw a bunch of tree props around here. But, I mean, color me a stickler, but I think a logging camp should be surrounded by a lot more trees than this. See, this is almost too much for the Monty. So we are going to go after the... Ooh, excuse me. The Baldwin 818. The Glenbrook. That's the one we're going to go after. You know, and that's honestly because of its traction power. Because that will allow us to grab a little extra cargo, you know, a little more cargo, which will help, you know, speed things along. Okay, yeah, I forgot to fix that. Let me go ahead and do that now. Alright, there's the brake. Okay. Dude, that was the brake. What the shit? That's unfortunate. Oh. Oh, I love when graphical errors. Alright, where do we gotta go? Right here. Alright. Cut these down, because that'll be embarrassing. Yep, cut trees down. I know you do, my little deforestationer. Alright, now I gotta put this back on. Nice. Right. Nope. That's not the right way. There we go. Okay, so because this is nice and flat, we're just going to go ahead and take off the brakes. That way I could just attach and go. You know what? Let's turn fuel consumption on. Turn it on low. There we go. Now, if you don't know, if you can't quite figure out how much is going to be too much for an engine, you know, just see how the engine reacts from a takeoff on a flat surface. Like if it just, you know, if it just hits the struggle bus, then that means you're just carrying way too much. Like, if I were to put one more on the Monty, it would struggle way too much, and therefore, you've wasted money, basically, because early game, money's hard to come by, you know. Money is pretty difficult to get at first. Well, let me rephrase that. Not difficult. It's not as easy as once you start getting better engines and you're able to pull longer and longer cars, which in turn gets you added Alright, and then there's another thing too. Like on these down roads. Alright, guys. I am gonna have to end the stream again. Sorry it's so short. I have a few IRL things I gotta go take care of. If you like the content, please leave a follow, subscribe, hit a like. I would greatly appreciate it. It'll cost you nothing. As always, y'all take it easy. God bless.